When it comes to food, our first instinct is usually to refrigerate so it stays fresh longer, but that isn't always the case. Today, refrigeration is a regular practice in every household. It goes a long way to preserving our food and maintaining quality. Despite popular belief, refrigerating certain foods can actually change their flavor. It can even reduce their nutritional quality or accelerate spoiling. In today's video, we're going to talk about 21 foods you should never refrigerate, from melons, cakes, peanut butter, honey, to bananas, and more. Number 1. Bananas. A banana is a tropical fruit, so it's safe to say that it doesn't benefit from the cooler climate of a fridge. The cold temperature can actually turn them black quicker. When buying your bananas, be sure to catch them before they're ripe so they can mature at room temperature in your kitchen. Number 2. Peaches. Don't be tempted to place fresh peaches in the fridge if they're not yet ripe. Like many other stone fruit, cold temperatures hinder the ripening process, meaning you'll be left waiting longer to dig in. They're also at a higher risk of spoiling. Store them on the countertop instead, and only chill if they're ready to eat. Number 3. Melons. Melons usually do best outside of the fridge. Once refrigerated, they tend to break down and become powdery and grainy. So to keep the flavor intact, they need to be stored at room temperature. But after cutting, you should store them in the fridge for 3 to 4 days. Number 4. Citrus fruits. Citrus favorites like lemons, limes, oranges, and grapefruits are all great examples of food that doesn't need to be refrigerated. These juicy fruits are best kept in a countertop fruit basket instead. If you don't think you'll be eating it for a few weeks, keep a cool, dry, well-ventilated place like a cupboard available for them until you're ready. Number 5. Mature white wines. It is widely accepted that white wines are best served chilled. However, storing bottles in the fridge isn't the best option for mature white wines like Chardonnay. While sparkling and lighter white wines should be served at colder temperatures, complex wines are better appreciated at slightly warmer temperatures. If you have one, a wine fridge set at 50 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit is the most ideal option. Number 6. Coffee beans. Coffee beans have no place in the fridge. The humidity in the fridge can cause condensation to form on the beans, which can put a damper on the flavor of both ground and whole beans. For the perfect cup of coffee at home, store the beans in an airtight container, in the pantry, or right on the counter. Number 7. Honey. Honey is a versatile, natural sweetener with a seemingly never-ending shelf life, but it should never be stored in the fridge. The colder temperatures alter the chemical makeup, causing it to crystallize and seize up. Number 8. Basil. Basil is a great herb to have around the house. Its unique taste makes for the perfect cooking partner to spice up your kitchen. Just remember, it should be kept at a temperature of at least 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Anything less than this can cause black marks to appear on the plant and ruin the taste. Be sure to keep it in a little bit of water and in the shade. That way, the herb will last a lot longer than if it was in the fridge. Number 9. Potatoes. Potatoes are a fan favorite because of their versatility, but they should never be placed in the fridge. Cold temperatures can break down the starches, changing the taste and texture. For optimal storage, place in a cool, dry space to keep them fresh. Number 10. Onions. Onions don't just rely on warmer climates. They actually depend on clear and open circulation to keep them fresh. Strangely, you should keep them far away from your potatoes, since they can speed up the onion's aging process. Make sure they're kept in different parts of the kitchen, neither in the fridge. Number 11. Garlic. If you want your garlic to sprout early, put it in the fridge. This will also attract mold to the skin and inner layers. We would recommend keeping it somewhere dry and warm instead of the fridge. Number 12. Tomatoes. The texture of tomatoes can be hit or miss depending on how you store them. If you store them in the fridge, they can become mealy and lose their flavor. Instead, store them on the counter at room temperature for 1 to 2 days. Any longer than that, and they might go bad. Number 13. Cucumbers. It's a common mistake, but storing cucumbers in the fridge will make them watery and pitted. If you do choose to refrigerate them, it's best to wrap them in plastic to minimize the moisture. Number 14. Oils. Most oil is safe to store at room temperature. If the oil has a lower saturated fat content, such as safflower or sunflower, it will benefit from being kept cool. So store it in a dark cabinet or the fridge door. The only ones you must refrigerate are nut-based oils. Number 15. Butter. There's nothing worse than trying to spread rock-hard butter across your toast. The good news is there's no need. Depending on temperatures, you can store butter on the counter, covered for a week or so. The best plan is to refrigerate butter and take it out one stick at a time. If the weather is very hot, you may opt for smaller quantities. Number 16. Peanut butter. It does not matter the texture. Keeping it in the fridge hardens the spread and makes it hard to apply to anything. Next time, keep it in the cupboard and avoid this problem. However, natural peanut butter may benefit from the fridge to keep it from separating. Once mixed at room temperature, placing it upside down in the fridge can make for easier spreading and enjoyment. Number 17. Chocolate. The fridge is the worst place for your chocolate. The temperature and moisture of the fridge can tamper with the taste, color, and texture, specifically the cocoa butter, which absorbs the smell of surrounding food, so it's best kept away from other odorous ingredients. Instead, protect it in a cool, dry place in an airtight container if you've already broken into it. Number 18. Cake. While some cakes need to be stored in the fridge, frosting-free cakes and those topped with ganache or buttercream will be fine for up to 3 days in an airtight container on the counter. If you're worried that a whole cake will spoil before you can eat it, cut it into small slices and store them in the freezer, where they will be less apt to dry out. Number 19. Bread. Bread, especially white, must not be put in the fridge. The reason being, when kept in a cool, dry place, bread dries up very fast. The best way to store it is to take the amount you will eat in the next 4 days, set it aside, away from direct sunlight, in a plastic bag, and deep freeze the rest. Number 20. Aged specialty cheese. It may sound counterintuitive to keep your cheese out of the fridge because it is a dairy product, but hard cheeses like Gouda and cheddar, or fancy cheeses like Pecorino Romano, tend to retain their flavor better without any refrigeration. Keep in mind that this does not apply to all kinds of hard cheese. Drier, more aged, sharp cheddars are to be kept outside the fridge, but shredded cheddar should be refrigerated. To store sharp cheddar without refrigeration, wipe the cut side of the cheese with white vinegar and then gently dry it off. Next, wrap the cheese in a cheesecloth. Then, wrap the block inside butcher's, parchment, or wax paper. Keep it away from warm surfaces and direct sunlight. Number 21. Hot sauces. Most hot sauces contain vinegar and certain preservatives that slow down mold and bacteria from growing, although it might reduce the strength of the spice. Next time, keep your bottle of Tabasco on the kitchen counter and see how impressive the spice factor becomes. We bet you'll notice the difference. Knowing what you refrigerate and what to leave out will really help your food taste better, last longer, and generally be healthier for you. Did any of these foods surprise you? What foods do you leave out of the fridge? Let us know in the comments below.